Having an attention-grabbing listing allows you to be noticed by potential tenants. On average, you are competing with about 100 other properties. Quality listings gather attention quicker than subpar listings. This makes sense. As a result, creating an eye-catching listing allows you to fill your vacancy quicker. What's more, a good listing will attract a higher quantity of renters. This gives you a larger pool of applicants to choose from, which increases your chances of finding a high-quality tenant to lease your property to. In this video, we go over everything you need to know about creating a great rental listing. There are 4 main components of listings: headlines, pictures, descriptions, and prices. Each of these components play a key role in creating quality listings, so let's take a comprehensive look at each of these and the process required for them. Headlines. A listing's headline is its most critical component. The headline is the first thing renters see. They immediately form an opinion of the property based on what the heading contains. Because headlines are so important, it can be daunting to try to write the perfect headline. However, if you stick to the following tips, you'll have an attention-grabbing header every time. Price. The first thing your headline should include is the price. The price is the determining factor for most renters, so it's best to provide it up front. And let's be honest, it's better for everyone if you make sure renters can afford your property right away. Beds and baths. Next, you should mention the number of beds and baths the unit has. This basic information allows the renter to know right away if your property could be the right fit for them. Type of building. You should also specify the type of building. For this, think apartment, house, condo, or duplex. The housing type allows the renter to start forming a picture of the property. Neighborhood. Many renters are interested in living in a specific neighborhood, not just a certain city. Including the neighborhood capitalizes on the benefits of your property's location. Best feature. You should end your headline with the property's number 1 feature. This is the aspect of the unit that sets it apart from other comparable rentals. Once you determine what makes your property special, be sure to highlight it throughout the listing. And finally, avoid caps and exclamation marks. Although it can be tempting to write your listing in all caps and include exclamation marks to make it seem more exciting, all this really does is make it look tacky. A professional headline will encourage renters to take your property seriously. In the end, your headline should look something like this. Photos. When it comes to listings, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There are an infinite number of tips and tricks for taking the perfect photos of your rental property. The reality is that with some decent equipment, good lighting, and an emphasis on the important features of the rental, you'll likely be in good shape. Below, we provide a simple guide for taking the perfect pictures for your rental listing. High-quality files. There's simply no point in putting in the work to capture beautiful photos if your equipment isn't up to par. Cameras, lenses, and tripods can be expensive, but high-quality photos are worth the investment. Use natural light. Renters aren't going to have professional lighting set up when they move in, so there's no need to have it for your pictures. The most flattering light is often natural light. Emphasize important rooms. There are often limits on how many photos you can include in a listing, so be sure to highlight the important rooms like the bathroom, kitchen, living room, and bedroom. If you can include more photos, then move on to less important rooms. Include floor plans. In order for renters to create an informed opinion of your rental property, it's good to include floor plans in your listings. This extra step goes a long way in winning over renters. Descriptions. Descriptions make up the meat of listings. Once a renter has been drawn in by the headline and impressed by the photos, they move on to the description to learn more about the rental property. As such, it's important that your descriptions answer all of the questions that a potential renter might have. Let's go over all the major components that your description should include, as well as a few tips for creating a successful listing description. Here are the features you should include in your listing descriptions. Amenities. Be sure to include specifics about amenities like the property's en-suite laundry room, gym access, and outdoor space. Specs. This includes the property's condition, such as new, old, or modern, the property's layout, their floor plan and size of the rooms, an itemized listing of the property's rooms, and the bills included in the property's rent, such as heat, water, electricity, and parking. Pet policy. Many renters are on the hunt for pet-friendly living spaces, so be sure to mention your pet policy in your description. If you require a down payment, pet rent, and/or pet fees, include your specific policy in your description. Location. It's important to include the exact location of the property. This also gives your applicants a chance to scope it out on their own from a distance before setting up an official showing. Lease terms. It's good practice to include the important terms of the property's lease, like if it's a month-to-month lease or a yearly lease. Contact information. If you don't provide your contact information, it's pretty unlikely that you'll hear from interested renters. Be sure to include your name, phone number, and email address so that renters can get a hold of you. Next, let's go through a few tips for writing listing descriptions. The first is bulleted lists. Instead of including information in large paragraphs, try using bulleted lists. This helps the renter find the information they're looking for quickly and easily. Next on our list is exact numbers. Being wishy-washy about information can be frustrating for renters and instills a sense of distrust right from the start. Use exact numbers when it comes to rent price, square footage, security deposits, and more. Another tip is to use rich adjectives. It's important to make sure that every adjective you use adds value to your descriptions. Using too many adjectives that lack genuine purpose make a listing seem cheap and unprofessional. And the last item on our list is punctuation. Try to avoid using too many exclamation points, but don't be afraid to utilize punctuation. Long, run-on sentences can be confusing for renters. Once you're done writing the description, go back through and break up sentences that are too long. Now let's talk about prices. The rent price and utilities for a property will likely be the factors that ultimately determine whether or not a renter will sign a lease. As a result, it's important to price your rental property fairly while also ensuring that you're turning a profit in the process. Do some market research and figure out what other landlords are charging for rent for comparable properties in your area. This allows you to ensure that your prices are competitive while also being appropriate for the location and property. Despite what you may have previously thought, creating rental listings isn't complicated. As long as you know what your property has to offer and what potential renters need to know, you should have no problem creating effective listings. Thanks for watching and happy renting!